I think sometimes expressing anger or
Mm.
being upset about something it's a good thing to do. I think a lot of times, we go through some very strong emotions and we don't want to express them unless it's joy. And I think that in itself is very toxic, and that's what then leads to violence and anger.
Hi, Vera. Thank you for joining the
Hi,
artist interview. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you, Stella? Thanks so much for having me.
Thank you for joining. My question start with this. What year did you participate in the initiative? What's your song title? And what motivated you to compose the song about world peace and participate in the initiative?
So I participated in 2023, and my song title was End of the Road slash Say. Say is a Shona word for why, just to put it simply. And why I specifically chose that song is when I first wrote it, which was a couple of years back. It was at a time when things were really stressful in my country. And if you ever sang or spoke about anything, like it could even just be a conversation in public transport, speaking against like the government or speaking about what's happening in the country, there was always this fear that like something could happen to you. And initially, when I wrote the song, that was just kind of like the feeling that I was in the privacy of my home and I could write the song and express myself and be angry and be mad and be like, okay, no one's hearing this, so it's fine. Nothing can happen to me. But a friend of mine then helped me to rewrite it to make it a bit more of a jazz standard because initially it was a rock song, so it was very angry. So we redid it as a jazz song, and we just felt that, when it's coming across as jazz, it's a bit more forgiving, and people just, enjoy the vocals instead of really listening to the lyrics. So we were like, this might be a safer way to kind of get the message across. And why I just chose to share that is because I feel like for world peace to exist and for people to exist freely is we should be in a space where we're okay with sharing our disgruntlement or what we're upset about
Mm.
without being judged for that, and just also like, appreciating that everyone is different and everyone has different opinions, and it's okay to have those different opinions and finding similarities of how we can work together to change whatever's upsetting us. Yeah.
Wow. Thank you for sharing that beautiful story. I think it leads to the second question. You already, I think, answered most of the part, but maybe you can share with me if you have a more to tell, speak about it.
Yeah.
What does your song tell the world? I think you shared a little bit about, it, and share with us the background and what brought you to write the song, if you have anything to share more.
I also think, just to add on to what I shared earlier, is that I think sometimes expressing anger or
Mm.
being upset about something it's a good thing to do. I think a lot of times, we go through some very strong emotions and we don't want to express them unless it's joy. And I
Mm.
think that in itself is very toxic, and that's what then leads to violence and anger and things that we don't understand. And I think with the song, whenever I perform it, I always give a little bit of a speech before when I say, this is the kind of song you sing when your rent is due and you haven't been paid, or when
Mm.
inflation is going up so high and you can't understand it. And I'm like, all you have to do is just sing the song, and like you're releasing all of that anger and that frustration. But it
Mm.
doesn't mean that you're being aggressive towards anyone. You're just expressing how you feel, and you're letting all of that off of your chest so that you can, just live life and get through the day. And I think that's what's really important, is finding healthy outlets to get through the day.
Wow, your community is lucky to have you. I see you're very passionate about it. So yeah, thank you for sharing. So how do you find that your song and your participating in this initiative, Songs for World Peace initiative, positively impact you?
I think it was just great to, for me, the experience was more about just seeing all of the other artists around the world that were part of the initiative, that were also sharing their songs, hearing the messaging behind it. I won't lie, when you first approached me, I was a bit nervous. I was like, oh my goodness, like, do I actually have songs that are for world peace? And I was like, oh, I don't know if I can write something fast enough.
Mm.
And I had a conversation with a friend of mine who was like, but like, even because I always tell people I describe myself as an angry artist. I'm always complaining about something, but I also find different ways to complain about these things. Sometimes I do it in a satirical way. Sometimes
Yeah.
it's about like the sound of the music. And I think for me, it was just an opportunity to share the story of Zimbabwe, because I think a lot of times people who do know about my country and who know about the injustices that happen here, they think we're really sad and depressed people. And which we are to an extent, but we're also very happy people and we also really make the best of a really, really bad situation. And I think that's something that Songs for World Peace helped me to kind of share with the world.
Hmm. I just appreciate your authentic self. You're just being yourself and then you just share who you are, and I can feel it. So I really appreciate that. So let's expand a little bit. Let's think about more
Yeah.
broadly. How did your song and your participate in the Songs for World Peace positively impact your friend or close family members?
I think for them, it's more of just like the joy that I've gotten onto like a bigger platform with my music. I think that for them was just something very exciting. The friends that I actually went and recorded my piece at a friend's house, and he was like, Vera, this is why you need to record your music. Because if this was recorded, you wouldn't be at my house at 7 o'clock in the morning recording a video to submit for something. And I think it also just kind of reiterated like my confidence that like my sound and my story is really important and like there are people out there that want to hear it and it can inspire so many other people. I have a close friend of mine who's trying to get into the music industry and I'm always trying to encourage her and I think she kind of sometimes looks at my experience and says, well, you've been in the industry for so many years and like things haven't been working out, and I think just being on this platform also is just like encouraging to her. When I told her about it, she's like, oh, okay, so like I was like, these things happen in waves, and when you're just true to the kind of sound that you want to sing about and the things, the stories you want to tell, because obviously singing for world peace and singing about, social economic issues, it's not commercial. It's not what sells. It's not what's getting you the MTV awards, but it is, it does have some sort of impact on people. It changes the lives of the people who are in your direct, immediate spaces. And it also just inspires you to just keep telling these stories because you don't know whose lives these stories are going to change.
Thank you. Let's go a little bit even further. So I already see that you are impacting your community a lot, but then let's think about it, how your song and your participation in specific, this initiative positively impact your community.
In some of the work that I do, I work with a lot of young people that do like to tell stories with their music. And as I mentioned earlier, that this was one of my first songs, a song that I was very passionate about. And it's definitely helped other people to realize that they can tell their stories. I think people directly in my community, especially young women, we tend to start singing about our experiences. And then after some time, because we want to make money, we change our narratives and our journey in music. And I think with this song, definitely, and being a part of this initiative, it's really inspired a lot of young women to keep telling these stories because they need to be told and they need to be heard.
Wow. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. It's beautiful. So, if relevant, what are the challenges for you to be involved in social change as an artist? And how could Songs for World Peace can help you?
I think just the support that Songs for World Peace gives in terms of like the platform itself is huge. As some of you may know, or as some people may not know, in Zimbabwe, there really is a big issue to do with freedom of expression and freedom after expression. As I mentioned again in the other questions, that when it comes to certain narratives and stories you're telling with your music, you're not going to get the airplay on radio. You're not going to get booked to play at the restaurants because they don't want to hear those stories or they don't want to hear that kind of music. And so just being able to be on such an international platform and also just having the opportunity for other people to appreciate the music and the story that you're telling has really just helped me to continue fighting the good fight. There are times when I definitely have questioned that, like, does it make sense to sing about like social justice and social economic issues? And, am I safe when I sing about these things? And is anyone listening when I am singing about these things? And I think just having been on this platform and I think having this platform existing for a lot of artists all over the world. If you're singing for world peace, if you have songs singing about your community, you need a platform like this to share those songs because something good can come out of it. So I think that's definitely how I would put it.
Wow, thank you. So let's think about potential impact in your goals as artists. What would be a potential impact that you want to achieve as an artist or as just a community leader? What would be the potential impact that you and your music could make to the world? And what's your goal as an artist and as a leader?
I think my potential impact is changing people's perceptions. I strongly believe that we're in a, especially nowadays, we're in such an environment where people are so set in their ideologies and their perceptions of people, their biases, negative and positive. And I think that my main aim as a community leader, as a musician, is to get people to see things from a different perspective. I actually have a song where I say, things need to change. You need to take off those rose tinted glasses and just see things as they are. And I think that's so important that the more we hear different sides of people's story, be it in terms of like injustices, be it in terms of people who are different from you, we're only afraid of what we don't know and what we don't understand. And we are the product of bad stories or stories that have been told to us over and over again. And we then don't take the time out to hear a different perception or to hear the true story. So with my music, my main aim is to get those unheard stories out there and get people to hear different angles, see different angles to the same narrative, and then make your own advised decision and not just based off your ideologies and your biases, based off of something that someone else has told you. Like, hear it from all angles and then make an informed decision. And I think once people start making more informed decisions, we'll stop having issues with different phobias and with racism and wars because you're making a decision for yourself. There's certain countries that have been in wars for hundreds of years or decades, and it's because they've inherited hate from previous leaders or previous ancestors. And it doesn't make sense because when you get to talk to these people and you say, have you seen the similarities between you and the people that you've been taught to hate? You just realize that you're all the same people. We all bleed the same kind of blood. Our bones are made out of the same kind of atoms. Essentially, when we're stripped down to our core, we are all the same people.
I think you're just really setting a good tone to dive into, the work that you do as a leader and, as a part of the member of the community. So let's talk about it a little bit further about what you do. Yeah, just to share with me, like what you do during the day, what kind of job, not only just artist, what kind of job do you carry on to really make the change? Yeah, just share with us. Thank you.
I work with two organizations. The one, I am the arts and events coordinator for an organization called Magamba Network. I've been running for the past 15 years. And it's basically a youth-driven initiative to get young people to participate more in things that affect their communities. And we use different forms of media, such as music, the creative arts. We use tech as well. And we also use satire just to get more of these conversations with young people to just understand different policies, to understand what's happening in their community and how they can actively participate to change some of the things that they're not comfortable with. And then I also then founded my own creative hub called Incubator ZW. And again, it's pretty much the same thing I do at the bigger organization, but we just work more on a smaller scale, working with your marginalized communities. So that's your women and young girls, your youth, the LGBTQAI plus community as well. We work in two approaches. We have a podcast where we have open and honest conversations with young people where they can speak freely about anything they want to talk about, things they want to discover. And then with the Creative Hub, we just create a platform for people to showcase their talents, tell your story through the creative arts, and get feedback from an audience that, cares and wants to hear these stories. And also just getting young people to realize that they can use the creative arts to change perceptions, change narratives, and use it for social change.
Wow, you are doing a lot, but
Yeah.
very, very, very crucial for your community. I can see that. So thank you for all you do. You must be very busy.
Yes, I hardly sleep. A lot of times when people ask me, what do you do? And I'm like, where do I start? But I guess I'm a strong believer in you sleep when you die. And if you're doing what you love, and I'm fortunate enough that my day job and, my passion are so closely aligned. So yeah, that's really fantastic.
I also see that it's not, separated. Everything is kind of linked together, music and media, freedom of expression, social change,
Yes,
everything is related to
yes.
that. So I can see that you're contributing your talent in there as well. That's awesome to hear that. All right. Finally, last question.
Yes.
Anything you want to promote, as artist, upcoming release or upcoming project or events? performance?
Yes, I have an upcoming project that I'm working on, and it's called Human Eyes. And the idea behind it is to use music, visual art, and dance to tell the stories of a woman, a trans woman, and a person with disabilities, because I feel like a lot of people have such a negative perspective around these three marginalized groups. And we're using these three different medias and three different genres of the creative arts to tell these stories in an effort to get people to just see them as people, like humanize them basically. So I'm really excited about that. It's going to be a audio visual exhibition that's going to be, we'll have it physically and then I'll also have it online. So that's something that I'm really excited about and passionate about because I love to tell people stories using different forms of the creative arts.
Sounds exciting. I mean, I just don't want to let you go because this interview is so inspiring. But do you have any final thoughts or final says to the world before we can wrap up the interview?
Yes, I think do your research. Don't let other people dictate how you should feel about something or how you should feel about someone. Find out for yourself. And I think take the time out to actually get to know someone before you make final decisions about them. Because a lot of the times you're so wrong about whatever that perception is. And this goes for anything like it can be a schoolmate, it can be a teacher, it can be a friend, a workmate, a neighbor, anybody. If you just take the time out to first see that person as a person first, as a human being first, I think you'll realize that there's no reason for you to be afraid of them or to be angry at them or to have any hatred towards them because they're just like you. They are loving, they are kind, they're a mother, a sister, a brother, a cousin, a grandparent. And we all have those kind of relationships in our lives, and those people mean something to us. So let's make the effort to make everyone mean something to us so that we don't have to be angry and living in violence or in fear all the time.
Thank you so much. This is great lessons around, a lot, it's in the interview. And I really love how just what you do for your community as an artist and again, the member of the community. Thank you. Thank you again for joining the interview. We can finish here. Maybe Yoshie will cut it off and then I'll actually kind of copy and paste in here so you can see. Yeah, you can maybe just read this part. Yeah.
So do I just say it as if it's like a separate thingy? Okay. All right.
So yeah, it's
My
gonna.
name. Okay.
Or you can just sing. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, whenever you're ready.
My name is Vera, and I would like to say happy fourth year anniversary to Songs for World Peace. And you can actually assist them in making sure that their work continues going on. So make sure you make the effort to donate. There's no donation that is too small. So please do make a donation to celebrate 4 years of amazing work.
Insane, treating me inhumane. Is this how my life should